You've probably heard someone say it. Everyone's gay now. Maybe it was your dad. Maybe it was your boss. Maybe it was you. But here's the thing. The data kind of agrees. LGBTQ plus identity numbers have shot up, even doubled in some places. So what's going on? Are we evolving, lying, or just vibing? Let's find out. Statistically speaking, there's never been more pride. Let's start with the data, because it's actually kind of crazy. According to Gallup, about 7.6% of US adults now identify as LGBTQ+. That is more than double the numbers from 2012. And the jump is totally generational. Among Gen Z, people born roughly between 97 and 2012, around 23% identify somewhere under the LGBTQ+ umbrella. USA Today called it a doubling in a decade. We did it. And get this, nearly 30% of Gen Z women now identify as LGBTQ+, most of them bisexual. Meanwhile, the Williams Institute puts the US total closer to 5.5% of adults, or around 14 million people. But among 18 to 24-year-olds, it jumps to 15%. So yes, your weird uncle is right that things look different, but the reason isn't what he thinks. Why visibility is the real game changer. As Queertopia put it, queer people are just as common today as they've always been. The world is just slightly more open and friendly to LGBTQ+ folks now than it's ever been. For most of modern history, being openly gay could cost you your job, your home, your safety. The American Psychiatric Association didn't even remove homosexuality from its list of mental disorders until 1973. Now a 20-year-old can just come out on TikTok, get 200 likes, everyone goes, woohoo, they get on with their day, maybe they get a brand deal from Target. It's not a personality trend, it's kind of a social revolution. How age, culture, and courage collide. It is that generational data that makes this crystal clear. The Public Religion Research Institute found that 28% of Gen Z adults identify as LGBTQ+, compared with 16% of millennials, 7% of Gen X, and only 4% of boomers. It's not giving gay evolution, it's giving permission. Younger people are growing up in a world where queer characters exist, laws protect them, and politicians don't have to whisper the word gay. As the HRC said, with nearly 30% of Gen Z adults identifying as LGBTQ+, LGBTQ+ Americans are one of the fastest growing voting blocs in the country. So yeah, that rainbow wave, it's not just cultural, it could get very political. The rise of the B, the Q, and everyone in between. A big part of the increase is actually just vocabulary. When Gallup broke down who's who, over half of all LGBTQ+ adults identified as bisexual. About only 2% of Americans identify as gay men, and even less, 1%, as lesbians. The rest fall somewhere in between bi, pan, queer, or questioning. Pew Research Center found that among LGB adults under 50, a whopping 69% identified as bisexual. So what's actually happening is that people aren't becoming more gay, it's that more people finally have the words to describe themselves. As one psychologist put it, you can't identify with a label that doesn't exist. And as I put it, everyone's a little bit bi. The geography of coming out. Inside the US, geography plays a huge role, 'cause duh. The Williams Institute 2023 analysis found wild state-by-state differences. Washington, D.C. has the highest share at 14% of adults identifying as LGBTQ+. Oregon, Vermont, and New Hampshire hover around 7 to 8. But in states like Wyoming or Idaho, it's closer to 2 or 3%. And that is literally all to do with safety. Emotional safety, physical safety, social safety. The gay wave went global. So this isn't just an American thing, by the way. The Ipsos Pride 2021 Global Survey covered 27 countries. Here's what they found. 18% of Gen Z worldwide identify as non-heterosexual, compared with about 10% of millennials and 4% of boomers. And 4% of Gen Z describe themselves as transgender, non-binary, or gender fluid, compared with under 1% of boomers. So sums it up kind of like this. The rise in LGBT identification tracks almost perfectly with visibility, legal rights, and generational change. So even in countries with very different cultures, this pattern does repeat. Pop culture made it cool to be seen. So as we now know, queerness is not new, but visibility is. In the 1980s, queer characters were jokes or side plots. Now there's like Heartstopper, The Last of Us, and Drag Race. They're all mainstream mega hits. And there's also Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's whole thing. Pop culture gave younger people permission to imagine themselves, and the internet made it communal. Coming out isn't this big single announcement anymore. It's just part of your bio. It's just on your Instagram bio. And all of this did happen quite fast. 2003, gay sex was legalized nationwide. 2010, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. 2015, legalized same-sex marriage. That's only 12 years between criminalization and full marriage rights. Of course, things aren't great right now. And of course, the numbers jumped. People finally felt safe enough to be counted. Why some countries still pretend gay people don't exist. Of course, acceptance is not universal. If things aren't going great everywhere. Pew's 2020 global survey found that 90% of people in Sweden think homosexuality should be accepted, compared to less than 10% in Nigeria or Indonesia. So when we talk about more gay people, we're mostly talking about places where being gay won't get you jailed, or worse, killed. It's not that the attraction differs, it's that safety does. There aren't more gay people now. There are just fewer consequences for being honest. I feel like there's been the same amount of gay people this whole time. The closets didn't disappear overnight. They just got like air conditioned, rebranded as safe spaces, and eventually kind of unnecessary for a lot of people. Legal protection, language, the internet, and representation combine to make queerness something people can finally claim in public. As one sociologist told The Atlantic, "We're not seeing an epidemic of queerness, we're seeing an epidemic of honesty." So next time someone says, "Ugh, everyone's gay these days," you can tell them, no, everyone's finally allowed to be. They've been gay this whole time. Catch up. If you like this little breakdown, hit subscribe, send it to your conservative cousin, and keep watching Channel 100 News, where we cover like billionaires and scandals, and now the national gay agenda, which to be clear is mostly brunch and good lighting. I've also been really into demographics and numbers this week. I've learned to count. Check out a video I did the other day on why white women keep voting for Trump. Very interesting. Bye.